everyone. Thank you for joining me today at Science Central. My name is Mr. Dale, and we're going to talk about some science that we can do and observe even at home. I know this is kind of a weird time. Many of us are kind of stuck at home, maybe don't have very much to do, but there's plenty of science observations that we can make even outside of our windows. One of those is all about clouds. We have some pictures of some different clouds over here. If you've ever looked at clouds, you will notice many of them look different from each other. They all don't look the same. Being humans, we like to kind of put things into categories, which we have done with clouds too. So we have broken clouds down into three big basic categories. I'm going to talk about the first one, cirrus here. These are the clouds that are really high up in the sky. They're made out of ice crystals. They kind of look like cotton balls that you've stretched out almost to the point that you can see through them. Those are called cirrus clouds. Normally, rain, snow doesn't fall out of those types of clouds. Normally, though, on nice blue sky days, you might notice some bigger, fluffier clouds floating around, the kind that look like giant marshmallows. Those are called cumulus clouds. Those are the big, fluffy ones. It almost looks like you can actually touch those. Like I said, they can be out in the blue sky, but sometimes they kind of gather up. They can make rain showers. They can make storms. That's when you get cumulonimbus clouds. Now, especially in this time of year, in the springtime, we're going to see a lot of this third type of cloud, the stratus clouds. These are the lowest level of clouds, and it almost just looks like a blanket of clouds across the whole sky. It's really hard to kind of differentiate between individual clouds with stratus clouds, but that's what we call the lowest level of clouds, where it just looks like a gray sky. Now, that can all be a lot to remember off the top of your head, especially if this is the first time hearing about this. So Science Central has provided a really cool thing for all of you. In the description of this video, we have a link to a worksheet here. It looks something like this. It kind of has one side's upside down, one side's not upside down. It kind of looks a little weird, but on it, you will see different pictures of the different types of clouds, the names written on there. So you have like a reference sheet. But what this is really cool to do with is kind of use it to observe real life clouds. So you'll see some like dotted lines here, some pictures of scissors. You're supposed to cut this out and kind of make it into an art project to view some of these clouds. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take some scissors and some tape, have those handy, because you're going to want to kind of cut this inner box out of the paper here. I want to make this whole thing a little smaller. Just cut right along that dark black line around the border there is fine. Now you don't have to be perfect with your cuts here. It'll still work just fine if you're not exactly perfect here. So the first step is to make this small. Now you'll notice there's some kind of weird looking boxes with dotted lines there. You're supposed to cut those out as well. It's a little trickier. I recommend kind of folding the paper in half a little bit, giving it like a pre-cut so you can slip your scissors in there and cut out these inner squares. These inner squares, they're going to be your viewing windows to see these clouds once your project here is all done. You're going to want to cut out both the window next to the pictures of the clouds and the window up here next to the instructions. You also notice there's instructions on how to do this. So if you don't remember exactly what I'm telling you now, you should be able to follow those instructions and be able to get the same result that I'm getting right now. You're going to want to make sure you have some tape handy for the next step and something like a pencil or a popsicle stick handy, because we're going to end up attaching this to a stick so we can use it to view our clouds. All right, once you have both of those windows cut out here, you're going to use this middle black line here as a fold line, because we're going to want to fold our project in half. You'll crease it along that line. You want to make sure that those windows line up so you can see through both of them. And now this is where we can use some tape to help to hold our project together so it doesn't come apart on us. So you can put like 1 or 2 pieces of tape on the side here to help hold it together. And now we're going to want to attach a stick to it so we don't have to kind of like hold it up to our face. We can kind of hold it at a distance and just make it more comfortable. So I'm going to use a pencil here. If you just want to stick your pencil or your craft stick kind of in between the 2 flaps of the paper, you just fold it in half. And then you're going to use your tape to secure that pencil to your project, to the rest of the paper, so that pencil doesn't keep slipping out. This one, you might need to use more than 1 or 2 pieces of tape just to make sure that it's secure and held on there tightly. It's okay if it doesn't look like super pretty. We just want to make sure it works. And now you have a little viewing window that you can use to look up at the sky, view the cloud in through the window, and compare it to the pictures that you have on this side to see what kind of clouds you are viewing. Now, clouds are things we see all the time, every day. But it might be something we might not think about. Like, where do these clouds come from? How are they made? Well, here at Science Central, we have some really cool tools that we can use to actually make our own cloud and learn about the different ingredients that you need, that nature needs to be able to make these clouds. Now, I'm sure we're all aware of stuff that falls out of these clouds from time to time. It's the kind of the big ingredient we need to make clouds, and that's going to be water. I want to make a cloud in my jar here, so the first ingredient I'm going to need some water. Make sure we pour some water in here. Now, even though these clouds look super huge, they don't need a lot of water to be formed. So I don't need to fill my whole jar full of water. I just need a little bit of water in here, just enough that it can make this cloud. All right, we have plenty of water in here, but as you can see here, it looks about the same. There's no cloud in there. We need more ingredients to make our cloud. Now that water, it's going to need something to stick on in the air in my jar. It's going to need little bitty teeny tiny things that are floating around. Things like dust, things like smoke, things like pollen. We call those particulates. Now I don't have just like a jar of dust to dump in here or pollen, but I do have some matches. I want to use my matches to get some smoke for my cloud to stick to. Sometimes we need several tries in science to make things work. Even something, here we go. So we'll do a couple of these matches in here. We don't need the fire part, right? We need the smoke in our jar for the clouds to stick to. So I think maybe just one more will be fine here. All right. Now, as you can see, you might be able to see some of the smoke in here, but there still isn't a cloud. We still need one more ingredient to make our cloud, and that's what this tool over here is for. This is an air compressor. We can use it to put air in things or suck air out of things. We need a certain type of air to make clouds. We need something called low air pressure. That means there's not a lot of air in those areas. So I'm going to hook my jar up to my air compressor so that we can suck some of the air out of the jar and hopefully get a cloud to form in my jar here. So I'm going to turn on my air compressor here, and you might notice something happening to our jar. If you look really closely, it might look like it's getting foggier inside of my jar. Now I have a flashlight here, might help us to see that it does look a little foggier in there. Now some of you might know fog is another type of cloud that we see on the ground. So days when it's foggy, you're actually walking or driving through a cloud. Now making it foggy there, we made a cloud in a jar right now. Now if you take away any of those ingredients, you take away the water, the smoke, I'll keep my light on here. If you take that away, you take away that air pressure, put more air in there, the cloud all of a sudden goes away. If I start taking that air out again, we should start to see that cloud forming up again. So really, once you get all three of those basic ingredients together, it's actually really easy to make a cloud. Now, thank you so much for joining me here at Science Central today. And I hope everyone at home remembers science is fun.